Joining us now to discuss President Trump's executive order now to eliminate no cash bail is John Koufos, a nationally recognized advocate for criminal justice reform who has worked with multiple presidential administrations and governors. Previously, John was a criminal lawyer until he was convicted for drunk driving. After getting out of prison, he helped to create the New Jersey Reentry Corps, which helps remove barriers to employment for former inmates. First of all, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today, John. In your view, what
Good
is
to
the
be with
impact?
you.
Yes, hope you had a good holiday yesterday. What is the impact of cashless bail on public safety in your view?
Sure. So, great question. So, cashless bail, as it was done in, say, places like New York City, have been an absolute disaster. So, what happens is the right system is a system like our feds have, right? The federal government has a system where they do a risk assessment, and cash bail is one of the many options that you can be given for release, along with conditions or detention, which is really important. Our cashless bail jurisdictions that haven't done this right, like New York, have essentially let people out without any money bail, but also no risk assessment. So then you just get out. It's a very, very dangerous and foolish system and kind of unique to just a few places in this country.
Okay, let's compare cash bail versus cashless bail. Does cash bail deter more criminals when compared to cash bail in your view?
So the data's split on that, and I think the key is a danger-based system. So I'll give you a really good example, right? So when I practiced law, I did a lot of gang and organized crime cases during the time in New Jersey when we had cash bail and only cash bail. We couldn't detain anybody. So what happens is my clients could make any bail you gave them. 500,000, a million, 5 million, it didn't matter. And then they went and terrorized witnesses. New Jersey changed the system to look like a federal system with detention. So the issue here is not strictly cash versus cashless. It's risk versus no risk. And risk really breaks into two categories: dangerous people and dangerous offenses. And I think we need a system that accommodates for dangerous people and dangerous offenses that permits a great variety of options for bail, including, in some cases, money bail.
So, what does the evidence show about the relationship between crime rates and the type of bail? For example, cash versus risk based.
Sure. So in places like New Jersey, for example, New Jersey is a state that implemented that risk-based federal system. New Jersey didn't have the crime spikes that much of the country did, even during the summers of 2020 and places and things of that nature. Other places like New York, for example, or Philadelphia, where they actually have cash bail, but then don't ask for it for a great majority of the people, are just letting people out, so the crime rate's spiking. So now take the District of Columbia, which traditionally does not have a cash bail system. But the problem is there's not a robust detention system. And there's one other factor here that people aren't talking about, which is going to be very uncomfortable for people to confront, which is the juvenile crime epidemic. Juveniles in every state in America and the federal system are subject to a different type of pretrial detention system through the family courts than adults. So what happens is whether you have cash or cashless bail, it doesn't affect the detention of a juvenile unless the juvenile is waived up to adult court. That is something this country is going to have to confront, as well as the illegal immigration issue as it relates to bail.
So, when talking about risk based bail system, I want to know how exactly, specifically, is risk assessed?
Sure. First thing is your criminal record, right? Well, actually, let me go back. The first thing is the offense you've committed. Places like Texas have said you're automatically detained for certain types of offenses, the ones you'd expect, right? Murder or certain other heinous crimes. So the first thing is you always look at the offense. What did the person do? The next thing you do is look at their criminal record. And criminal record needs to look at two things: the violence in their history, or a person with repeated violations of law, even if nonviolent, right? And it's that second part that too many of the criminal justice advocates have not appropriately accommodated for, right? They assume, oh, if you've just shoplifted 40 times, it's a nonviolent crime, so let the person out. Well, that's not the way it should be. So the risk should be, first, what's the offense? Second, what's the person's record? Form a risk profile from there.
Is it appropriate to ask the question, how do we make sure that risk assessment methods are fair and consistent across the board?
Yeah, no, it's very fair. So the first thing is the good news is offenses are offenses, right? The offenses really have no play in them except how they're charged, right? Then the issue is you'll get some advocates to say that areas that are over policed will have people with more arrests and worse records. Well, maybe, but the idea here is the number of convictions we're talking about are what matters, because the idea, say someone's going through a mental health crisis, right? And they commit a series of public disorder offenses, but lots and lots and lots of them. If they won't stop, there's no point in just continuing to let them out. They have to be detained. And when they get detained, they have to be moved into treatment or just detained. So they're specifically detained to not commit crimes. So I think the first denominator, or the first equalizing factor is the offense itself. The second are the offense level of the person. New Jersey scores people, and then what through a risk algorithm, and then what happens is a judge always gets the final say.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Thank you.